Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Jyotsna Thakran. I'm media representative of Frontlist Media. So today we have Jayanti Sankar with us. Welcome Jayanti Sankar. So welcome to Frontlist Media. So Jayanti Sankar. So let's just start with a brief introduction. Born and brought up in India, Jayanti Sankar living in Singapore since 1990 and been creatively active since 1995. Her critically acclaimed short stories collection, Dangling Gandhi, was the winner out of the 7 finalists in the category of fiction, short story in 2020 International Book Award, American Book Fest. So she has been published in a several magazine and e-zines like the Indian Nation, News India, The Wagon, The In Opinion, and she's also a watercolor artist. She has been freelancer for more than a decade and a half, and with the 3 years of experience to be on board today. So this is all we know about you. So our audience would like to know who you are as an actual person. Who is Jayanti Sankar as a real person?
Well, I am a lover of fiction. I love writing fiction as much as I love reading fiction. And I'm a person who writes for serious readers, more of a serious person. And when I'm not into writing, I'll be either reading or painting or walking long distances in, the nature reserves of Singapore. I'll be exploring those places. And I live more in my fictional world. So I come to the real world sometimes, and I feel so stranded when I come to the real world, because I'm more comfortable in the fictional world because I handle my fictional characters better than the real characters in life.
Okay, that's amazing thing.
Yeah.
So congratulations on your new book, Tabula Rasa. So our audience would like to know about your book, Tabula Rasa. So
Tabula Rasa. Tabula Rasa is a Singapore-based, historical fiction. The best thing, my readers are going to really like this book because it's about Singapore.
Okay.
People know Singapore as a developed country with all tall skyscrapers, fabulous shopping malls. Those things Singapore is known for.
Yeah.
But how much do you know really about Singapore? Okay. Even for the locals, how much do they know?
Okay.
Outsiders, those living outside of Singapore, the readers, how much they know? They won't know much. So this book is going to give them a wide canvas where they can know about how Singapore was formed in the first place. Okay. How Singapore was under the British rule, just like India was. So Singapore under the British rule is covered in this novel with the contemporary thread. The present day thread is more about the migration or the migrant workers coming to Singapore. Those migrant workers are very integral, crucial part of the shaping of this beautiful country. Okay. So the lives of those workers are depicted in this novel. So that way, many readers are going to love this book because they will know so much about the history and the life of Singapore.
Okay. So basically, you just blend the history and the fiction thing, right, in this book?
History,
kind of.
History by itself is a fiction in my novel. History is not as it is in real history, not brought just the way the history. It's not like that. That history is again a fiction form in my book. Okay. And the present day people are also fiction form.
Okay.
It's not as if blending fiction and history. No, the history by itself is fiction in my book.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jayanti.
Because can I be living 200 years ago when the British came to Singapore? I won't be living that time, but my characters are there in the novel. My characters are there. Then where are they from? It's from my fiction only.
Okay, that is amazing. Wow.
British period
Yeah.
going on. There are characters there. Obviously, those characters I don't know. So it is fiction.
Right.
Not like history by itself.
Okay.
Yes.
So I hope that your readers would love your book, and
Yes,
whatever
thank
you trying to convey them, it totally convey to them. So
Yes.
thank you.
Mm.
So my next question to you: Tabula Rasa outlines the history of Singapore and a male psychology, right? So everything is depicted through the story of two men, Li Wei and Muthu. So how did you come up with the idea of this story?
Basically, any fiction writer, whether it is a short story or a novel, our characters are not from some other planet. They're all from our lives. One character, Levi, might have so many, traits of so many characters of 4 or 5 people in him, but he's not totally from imagination. So Levi is representing the local population of Singapore. A young man who is also struggling with his love life and his work life.
Okay.
Who is a person who is coming from India to Singapore to work. He is capable, he is able to handle his love life very easily. Two different characters. So those two characters were important for me to depict the life of the people in Singapore, the local people and the people who came to Singapore to work. And I decided on the psychology of men and more of male characters in this novel when I wrote my previous novel last year.
Okay.
Because my previous novel, Misplaced Heads, had all female characters. Because the subject was female-centric. The subject was about a dance, 2 dances. So the main characters were females. And the things I talked about were all feministic and female-centric. And that is when I decided the next work that I will write will be opposite. It shouldn't be female-centric, it should be male-centric. I challenged myself 2 ways. One, I should not repeat what I did in that. Second, I should think like men, how they think, what are the pains they go through, their psychology, their challenges. And that challenge,
so then it must be hard.
Yes, if it is going to be easy, then my readers will easily forget my book. I should work hard. I should really take up challenges so that my book stays in the heart of my readers forever.
Okay, that's a good thing. I hope that your readers would love your story because, you just pour your heart out in your book. Yeah. So one thing is that how did you came up with the idea that I want to write on this particular topic? So when did you all started?
Okay.
The
Tabula Rasa must have come 2 years ago, this book. The previous book, Misplaced Heads, came before that it should have come this year, but it came before.
Okay.
Tabula Rasa is the novel that I carried inside my heart for 11 years.
Okay.
It's not just 1 year I thought about it, I wrote. No. It was inside me for 11 years. And I wrote for 1.5 years, edited for half a year.
Okay.
And now the book is coming. It is
So
never about just today I think of it, next month I complete the book, the third month it comes. No, it's never the case for me.
okay.
There are two reasons for that. One is that I have to do so much of research apart from what I already know. The second is I must live the life in me first before I can even write. If I don't, then the work is not as good as it should be.
Okay, wow, amazing. It's a good thing that you are just, poured your heart, actually the characters, the imagination, the plot, amazing.
I live them in my heart.
Yeah, you live them, and it's a very good thing.
Not just think and pour. I live
them, and you just write. Yeah. So my next question is to you that you discussed the colonial Singapore, right? As you mentioned before about the things you said, and they confronted some insights pertaining to the 14th and 15th century.
Yes.
However, there must be an abundance of research, like you said. So how did you research the key points? Share something about your research aspects. So what was it? How was it your research process for this book?
Like I said, this book as a novel was inside me for 11 years. I'm living in Singapore for 31 years now. Therefore, my characters, the contemporary thread, will have characters that I observed. I saw them living. I literally saw them living. That came as the contemporary thread. As for the colonial and the historical, I have been reading so much. And colonial period, people who lived during colonial period, I have met them. Previously, when we were staying in Ishun, the other area, I had one old uncle in our block. Whenever he sees me, he will be ready to share stories. He was very old. He has seen the British period and the Japanese period. He has lived during that time as a child, during colonial period, and later during Japanese period, he was a teenager or something. So he used to share so many things. Not just, my research is not just reading online or books or library, no. It's to talk with people, to gather so much of information, so much of the pains, whatever they went through, or even beautiful, memorable things those days, whatever they went through. Those things, when they share, it stayed in me. And I never knew those things will come when I created my characters. So that's how the research is not about just files and files of books, papers, and no, not just that. Research is more about and I have interacted with many foreign domestic workers, construction workers, and all. I have talked with them so much that I get to know their life. So I see them work and all. So research is about everything. So I have done a lot of research.
So how long it was your research time process?
As long as I can remember, you can say this tabula rasa, whatever research I did apart from the library and the reading, the real time experiencing research, interacting with people unconditionally, just on friendly basis, all that happened over 30 years.
Okay, so throughout your time in Singapore, right?
It's never time bound. This book is, yes, it has so much in it, which I have gathered in me over 31 years, yes.
Okay, so the whatever you just consume over the period of time You just poured it out. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No.
So you just
No. It's not pour it out. Never.
It's just you live that thing and you just write
Yes,
it
I
down.
live it and I craft it. It's never about
It's art. Yeah.
No. Yes, it's an art. It cannot be just poured out. If I'm going to pour out, I can create a blog, keep pouring out. No, it's not just pouring out. It is not. I have to live it. I have to think about it. I have to think where my readers will enjoy, where they have to think, where they will go for extended reading, where they will go for extended research. It's all about it in one novel. It's not just pouring out.
Okay. So you just specifically thought your readers and then you write it down. Ki how we're gonna connect with this thing, right? Okay.
Okay,
So
the readers. Okay.
yeah. So your amazing journey of an author, when did you all start? The journey of an author, yeah.
Oh, my reading, my passionate reading brought me to writing, and my reading was not like many people read these days. I watch. Either they read it for some incentive, or they will read it to show off in the Insta. They will read a book to brag about it with the photos and things. No, I read like voraciously, passionately for the pleasure of it. I didn't have to show anyone. I didn't have to account to anyone. And I didn't get anything out of it except the pleasure of it, the joy of it. And many years of reading that way created a critic in me, inside me. That critic I didn't know was forming in me. The critic started criticizing certain writings. And that's when I asked myself, it's very, very easy to criticize. Have you done anything? Have you done anything?
Okay.
Easy to criticize. Then I tried short story, and from there, there is no turning back. So the critic that formed inside me after reading.
So now you are here.
Yes, and that's how I started.
Okay, that is a good thing. So my question is, you just said that your journey of being an author started from when reading, right? So this question is that every reader has to be a writer. Like there are so many people who just read but don't write, right? So whenever someone sees you like reading, oh, you must be a writer as well. So this is a notion, it's instilled in everyone's mind. Do you have something like you want to share regarding this?
Oh, good question. And I like that spontaneity. A reader is a reader.
Okay.
A reader need not become a writer. Not needed. If I was given a choice, for example, someone is holding a gun saying, you should choose one. Choose one. You want to read or you want to write?
Okay.
I will choose reading.
Okay.
Why? Because I live thousands of lives reading, but I can only create hundreds of lives writing.
Right.
And through reading, you travel places, go to many places, live the lives of so many people.
So many people, right.
I mean, reading is the ultimate pleasure in life, to me at least.
Okay.
So readers need not become a writer.
Okay. That's
but writers have to be readers.
Because that's the ideation comes from, right? The more they read.
Not just ideas. Ideas need not come from reading. Ideas come from life. But why they should keep reading? Because they have to know what is being written by people in the latest years, what is happening in the writing world. So to know the changes in the literary space, they have to keep reading.
Okay, okay.
But a reader need not write. He can keep reading only. That's the best life.
Okay, best pleasure, you can say. So, in your profile, you just said that you have a 3 years of experience in journalism, right? So, the journalistic eye helped you like in shaping your writing career?
Frankly speaking, the 3 years of journalism, the job as a sub-editor did not bring any joy in me.
Okay.
The writing of news articles were chores for me.
Okay.
They were not bringing any pleasure for me.
Okay.
3 years, in 3 years, I came to know that I didn't like writing for journalism, meaning the news articles.
Okay.
And my heart is always in fiction. And that's what I discovered. And that was one reason that I left the job.
Okay. So then you start your career as an author.
I had already started as
okay. So what thing helped you the most to shape your writing career? Which thing helped you the most?
Reading, again, reading only, and observing people, empathizing with people who are suffering, and interacting with people. Let me tell you, people are better teachers than books. Each person I meet, each person I interact with is teaching me volumes.
Okay.
That stays with me, which become, I mean, they do come as characters in my fiction, but the teachings from people, the real living mobile books, the people, what I get, it stays with me very strong than what I learn from books. And therefore, observing life, observing people is one thing that shaped my writing
career. Okay. So you have been working in this industry for a long time, right? So what changes have you seen in a book industry, like in a literature world, in an author industry? So what were the changes you have experienced?
There are many things I'm observing, especially in the social media, because the world is becoming so virtual.
Okay.
Any interview of this kind is becoming so common.
Right.
A person to person sitting and interviewing is becoming so rare.
Right.
And social media is becoming so happening these days. But what is really, I mean, social media to me is a tool. Okay. How well is the tool used by readers is the question. And I'm not very happy. In fact, I'm very saddened by what they are doing in the social media, posing as readers, holding a book and jumping with joy. It does not make you a reader.
Right.
But that is mostly happening.
Mostly people are doing it.
Any review, within 2-3 lines, we can make out if the person really read the book or is just writing crap.
Right.
9 out of 10 are crap.
Okay.
This saddens me because reading is, like as just now we were talking about reading, how important for me reading is, and what reading can do in a person, what magic it can make in transforming a person.
Right.
What I am today as a writer, as a person, is because of reading. What kind of reading? Not that kind of reading. The reading that is really genuine. Read for reading. People
Okay.
go and read for incentives, to make money, to get a copy, free copy. When people come and ask, and in Insta and all, can I have a copy of your book, ma'am? I want to review. Fine. Are you really sincerely interested in reading it? We won't know. I'm ready to part with a copy of a book, but will you read really? You don't have to even write a review. If you write, I'm happy. But even if you don't, if you give me a call and really share what you read, what you really enjoyed in the book, that is best. Instead of some people, they don't even complete reading it. They don't have the patience or the sincerity to invest time in reading. They just take the book and all. So when I say no to paid review and all, they disappear. That's all. If they are really sincere, what will they do? What will they do? They will buy a copy and read. But how many are reading like that?
Very less, I think.
Reading is again becoming something that sincere authors like us are so ashamed to see. We are so saddened to watch that kind of readership. But we have to live with all this. I can't run away from this social media.
Right.
It's a tool everyone is using, so I use it as a tool. But then it saddens me how reading is becoming either they have to make money out of it, or they have to make what?
It's kind of, a showy thing.
They have
on
to
social
make
media.
followers. They have to make money. Either thing.
Yeah.
Nothing to enjoy. Nothing to think.
Nothing. Just
It's very saddening. For me, it is very, very saddening. Day in and day out, I watch that. I swallow and redeem myself.
okay.
Yeah, that is one thing I am sad about. I hope something good happens, and I'm trying my best to do some things good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, I have one question in my mind. So, like you said that you are a voracious reader, so I would like to ask your favorite authors. Who are you?
Okay. I have a few. I like my all-time favorite is Haruki Murakami. I like Amitav Ghosh for his historical fiction. I like Devi Yashodharan. I like Joseph Saramago. Then Garcia Marquez. And then I like Yang Liangke. He is a Chinese from China, Yang Liangke. And I have so many authors. I love reading again and again their works.
Okay, so do you have some favorite book in your mind, like that you would like to read over and over again?
I like Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. I love it for the way he handled the psychology in it, the Freudian psychology, the way he handled the magical realism in it. And the way, even though it is a translated version that I have a book in my shelf, which every year once I will read this book, like my Bible. So I know some of the places by heart because I have read it many times. So because the way, the craftsmanship of the fiction, the way he handled the Freudian, what is it called? Oedipus complex. Yes, handled Freudian psychology. And then, like I said, the magical realism. And therefore, I love this book. And of course, I love 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini.
Even I read this book. Even I read this book, 1,000 Splendid Suns.
Khalid Hosseini's Kite Runner is more famous, I know, more popular. But to me, I like the 1,000 Splendid Suns. That one I have read at least thrice. And yeah, there are a few books that I keep going for.
Yeah, I have read Khaled Hosseini, The Kite Runner, and A Thousand Splendid as well. And I really loved his work. Well, he's amazing. Yeah. So my last question to you, that what advice would you like to give the aspiring writers and readers as well?
What advice?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you have something to share to them?
I normally don't give advice to young people. I have so many young friends and mentees. I don't give advice. I just suggest, and they can take or leave it.
Okay, just suggest.
For all aspiring authors, you said, right? They have to read. They have to read and read and read. Postpone writing. Don't write.
Okay.
Let them read more number of years. Let the first book come late. Let it not come early. If the earlier it comes, more premature it will be. The later it comes, it will be more mature, strong with a bang. Okay. Till then, keep reading without any conditions, without any expectations. Read as much as you, and enjoy reading. Don't read it as if you are doing some chore, sweeping the floor. Not like that. It should be enjoyed. Yeah, enjoy it. Keep reading. Postpone your authorship. Let the first book come late.
Okay.
That is one important thing all young people should remember. You don't have to be an author at 25. Let it be 31, 32 years old. It's enough. Keep reading. Don't bring your book, first book, early.
Just keep reading, right?
Sure. Yes.
At the end. Just read. Okay. So before winding up this session, I would like to ask, like, do you want to share some quote to end this session or something? Like some quote you have in mind?
Food.
Quote.
Quote. Okay, quote. Understand.
Before winding up this session, you would like, yeah, quote.
I am reminded of it instantly. I don't know. I mean, I was not prepared for this, but I am reminded of Margaret Atwood's quote. You know, she says, "You rewrite and polish your work." Not the exact words. She has used some other words. This is what she means by the quote. You rewrite, edit, and polish your work so many times until you start hating your work. Until you start hating your work, novel or manuscript. You have to do that much. The moment you start hating it, you have done a good job.
Okay. It's a good motivational start. Thank you so much, Jayanti Sankar. And we had a lovely chat with you, and it's amazing experience to, you know, talking with you. You like your passion for writing and reading, it's commendable. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, Jyotsana and
Thank you
Frontlist,
so much, ma'am,
for having me for the interview. I'm grateful for your efforts and lovely talking to you. All the best. Happy reading. Bye.